The moment I saw Minishoot Adventures in the Indie World presentation, I knew it was a game made specifically for me. It's a fascinating blend of twin-stick shooter gameplay and a Zelda-style world, complete with dungeons, upgrades, and a whole lot of collectibles. I never could have thought that a blend of these two genres could work, but Minishoot Adventures sold me on its premise swiftly, creating a hunger for more games in this style that I never dreamt of before. If you're a fan of the classic era of Zelda, trekking through a world with tons of secrets to find, using items to explore new areas, and completing dungeons to open up new areas of the world, I think Minishoot Adventures has what you're looking for. This game's world reminds me so much of Zelda 1, in some cases pretty explicitly, except much larger and easier to traverse seamlessly. This game's world does a fantastic job of piquing your curiosity. There are caves and pits all over that you can jump into to explore and find unlockables, like battery packs that increase the amount of time you can boost, and heart container pieces that net you another heart. Did I mention that this game was inspired by Zelda? This game has an intentional world, one that's really good at encouraging you to explore. It reminded me of the time I played Super Metroid for the first time. I could sense the developer's invisible hand guiding me to important places that I needed to go without either getting lost or getting told explicitly where I needed to go next. You can buy an upgrade fairly early in the game that shows you points of interest on your map if you want the added guidance. It definitely comes in handy if you step away from the game for a little bit, but the world is dense and compact enough that exploring all on your lonesome with no guidance is fun, rewarding, and intuitive. Arguably, the strangest part of this gameplay blend is the various dungeons that you can find all throughout the world. Most of the game's dungeons have a Zelda 1 structure. Enter a room, defeat all the enemies, get the thing you need to progress, so on and so forth. The dungeons aren't necessarily puzzle-focused, apart from one somewhat later in the game where you travel in and out of it through caves and pits to find your way to the end. I like this one as a fan of Zelda's puzzle box-like dungeons like the Water Temple, but this might be a low point for folks who prefer the more action-oriented dungeons, and I can't really blame you if that's the case. For the most part, this game focuses on creating dungeons with a combat focus, with the occasional bullet slalom here and there. If you're a fan of Zelda but not as much of a fan of twin-stick shooters, I'd understand if all of this looks overwhelming to you. They call it bullet hell for a reason. However, if you're at all intrigued by this game's world and just intimidated by all of the shmup stuff, there are some difficulty settings you can tweak at your leisure that might make it easier to get into this genre if you're interested. There are typical difficulty settings that affect enemies, including increasing or decreasing enemy and bullet speed so you can ease yourself into the tension. The twin stick controls can also be adjusted if moving with one stick and aiming with the other is not your forte. The assisted mode locks your blaster onto enemies if you point in their general direction, so you don't have to be as precise, but you still get the feel of a twin stick shooter. There's also a fully automatic mode where you will automatically lock onto and fire at enemies nearby. You don't even have to touch that right stick if you don't want to, so you can focus on dodging. You can also swap between the difficulties and control schemes at any time. I personally loved playing through the game in manual mode and on normal difficulty. I'm a casual fan of shmups. I played through a good amount of the genre's staples, but I am by no means bulletproof, and I felt like the difficulty was perfect. Challenging, but doesn't demand perfection. If you want to try your hand at a twin-stick shooter, I really don't think this game is a bad choice as a first-timer in the genre. Another reason this game is a great entry point is its ship upgrade systems. As you destroy enemies and ruby clusters around the world, you'll get these gems that you can apply to your ship to improve its speed, bullet strength, bullet range, etc. This gives you the flexibility to build your ship the way you want to, but my favorite part about this is that you can remove gems from certain abilities and reattribute them to other stats if you want, so you're never stuck with a build. If you're having trouble with escaping bullets in time, reattribute some gems into your speed and try again. If you need more power, fix your ship in whatever way works best for you. It encourages experimentation and gives you the tools to adjust your ship into something that works for the challenge you're up against, but never requires that you do this. It's all up to your discretion and skills, and it makes Minishoot so rewarding to complete. The world is full of collectibles to find beyond the ones I've already mentioned. You'll unlock new abilities that help you in battle and also help you travel to new places on the map. You'll find new sections of your map that help you get around. There are ships that you need to rescue, these tadpoles you need to race, lore tablets to decrypt, upgrades to buy with discs you get from defeating big enemies. There's a lot to collect if you enjoy upgrading your ship and looking for secrets. I do think it could be said that this game might have almost too many shiny collectibles. For example, these golden beetles come up partway through, and they're an entire new collectible that can be only traded with one ship to upgrade your secondary weapons. While this is fine and not too detrimental, it does feel a bit redundant when every other upgrade in the game is bought with those discs you get from fighting. The beetles don't add much, but they don't detract either. I just think there might be a tiny bit of collectible bloat with all of the different things you can collect. I also think that Minishoot lacks somewhat in enemy variety. There's a decent amount of enemy types. Evil Roombas of all shapes and sizes will want a piece of you throughout your adventure, but towards the end of the game, I felt like I had been fighting the same hordes of enemies over and over again, and the only real variation is that they got more health and damage. Overall, the enemies are well designed, and the combat is still very fun, but I did get a sense of been there, done that as I approached the game's final moments. On the other hand, the bosses were a delight to fight. They're challenging and look overwhelming, but even though this looks intense, I have it totally under control, I promise. If you enjoyed some of the more intense fights from games like Undertale that took inspiration from bullet hells, I think you'll find a lot to love here. The fights are challenging and rewarding to finally beat. Minishoot Adventures is a gem. It's a lovely marriage of two very different genres, and that's what I think makes it work so well. It blends those ideas to create something new and novel that I think will resonate with fans of one or both of those genres. This game is also fairly short, so it's perfect for quick pick up and play sessions. While I do think that the engine sort of runs out of gas at the end, the journey itself is enough reward, and this game was definitely one of my favorites that I've played this year so far. And it was cheaper than Pokemon Fire Red!